to propose regulations to ban all devices that turn legal weapons into machine guns.
An escalation in violence perpetrated with guns, particularly among our young people, in a manner that I have never seen before.
But, Madam Speaker, guns have been prevalent in the United States of America since before our founding.
Americans have the fundamental right to keep and bear arms that shall not be infringed.
Guns don't kill people. People kill people. Criminals, miscreants, will always get their hands on guns.
Supreme Court bump stock. In a recent court session, the Supreme Court grappled with the contentious issue of bump stocks, devices that enabled rifles to mimic the rapid firing of mash guns. This debate revolves around a Trump-era regulation aimed at outlawing bump stocks, which gained prominence following the tragic mass slaying in Las Vegas in 2017. The regulation, supported by both Republicans and Democrats, seeks to address the significant dangers posed by rapid-fire rifles. During the session, both conservative and liberal justices acknowledged Congress's intent to prohibit such devices due to their potential to unleash a barrage of bullets with a single trigger pull. Justice Elena Kagan emphasized the gravity of the issue, highlighting the transformation of semi-auto arms into weapons capable of firing hundreds of rounds per minute. This recognition underscores the urgent need for regulatory action to prevent the proliferation of such lethal weaponry. However, the Supreme Court, known for its conservative majority, faces a delicate balancing act in evaluating this regulation. While acknowledging the dangers posed by bump stocks, several conservative justices expressed reservations about the regulatory approach. Justices Neil M. Gorsuch and Amy Coney Barrett questioned the effectiveness of the regulation and suggested that Congress should have revisited the relevant laws in the aftermath of the Las Vegas shooting. This skepticism towards regulatory measures reflects broader concerns among conservative justices about the role of government agencies in interpreting and implementing laws. Conservative jurists often advocate for strict adherence to legislative intent and are wary of executive agencies expanding their authority through new regulations. This sentiment was evident in the court's deliberations on the bump stock regulation, with justices raising questions about the ADF's authority to enact such sweeping measures. Despite these reservations, the Biden administration defended the ADF's actions, arguing that the agency had the responsibility to reassess the legality of bump stocks in the wake of the Las Vegas massacre. Deputy Solicitor General Brian Fletcher underscored the urgency of addressing the issue, emphasizing the need for proactive measures to prevent future tragedies. The debate over bump stocks encapsulates broader tensions surrounding arm control in the United States. While there is bipartisan consensus on the need to regulate certain arms accessories, such as bump stocks, the issue remains deeply polarizing. Proponents of stricter arm control measures argue that such regulations are necessary to prevent armed violence and protect public safety. They point to incidents like the Las Vegas shooting as compelling evidence of the need for legislative action. On the other hand, opponents of arm control measures often emphasize individual rights and constitutional protections. They argue that restrictions on arms accessories infringe upon Second Amendment rights and may not effectively address the root causes of armed violence. Additionally, they express concerns about government overreach and the potential for regulatory measures to impede lawful arm ownership. The Supreme Court's decision in this case carries significant implications for armed regulations in the United States. Depending on the outcome, it could either bolster efforts to enact stricter arm control measures or reaffirm the rights of arm owners to possess certain arms accessories. Furthermore, the case underscores the broader debate over the balance between public safety and individual liberties in the context of armed rights. Ultimately, the Supreme Court's ruling on the bump stock regulation will shape the legal landscape surrounding arm control and influence future policy debates on arms regulation. As the court deliberates on this issue, it must carefully consider the competing interests at stake and weigh the potential impact of its decision on public safety, constitutional rights, and the role of the government in regulating arms. Supreme Court bump stock debate. The Supreme Court recently deliberated on the legality of bump stocks, devices that enable semi-auto rifles to mimic the rapid-fire capabilities of mash arms. The case stems from the tragic mass slayings in Las Vegas in 2017, where an armed man used AR-15 rifles equipped with bump stocks to unleash a barrage of bullets on concert-goers, resulting in over 500 injuries and 58 fatalities. President Trump responded to the massacre by directing the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives, or ATF, to reconsider its regulations and classify bump stocks as illegal. This executive action set the stage for a legal battle over the interpretation of existing arm laws and the authority of agencies to regulate arm accessories. During the Supreme Court's hearing, both conservative and liberal justices grappled with the complexities of the case. Justice Amy Coney Barrett expressed sympathy for the argument that bump stocks function similarly to mesh arms, but questioned why Congress hadn't explicitly addressed the issue through legislation. This dilemma reflects the tension between interpreting existing laws and deferring the congressional intent in matters of arm regulation. Justice Brett Kavanaugh raised concerns about the potential prosecution of arm owners who had legally acquired bump stocks before they were outlawed. This highlights the broader implications of regulatory changes on lawful arm owners and underscores the need for clarity and consistency in legal standards. The case presents a significant test for the conservative justice's commitment to arm rights, particularly in light of the tragic context of mass slayings. It also intersects with broader debates about domestic violence and arm restrictions, as seen in another pending case regarding the deprivation of arms from individuals subject to domestic violence orders. While California and several other states had already banned bump stocks, the legality of these devices in other states could undermine enforcement efforts and create regulatory inconsistencies. This underscores the importance of a uniform federal approach to arm regulation to address interstate commerce and public safety concerns effectively. On the other hand, liberal justices argued that the ATF's regulations aligns with the intent of federal laws prohibiting mesh arms. They emphasized the dangerous capabilities of bump stocks, which allow semi-auto rifles like the AR-15 to function similarly to fully auto weapons. This perspective underscores the need for robust arm regulations to prevent the proliferation of high-capacity rapid-fire weapons capable of inflicting mass casualties. The Supreme Court's decision in this case will have far-reaching implications for arm regulation and public safety. It will shape the interpretation of existing laws, the authority of regulatory agencies, and the balance between individual arm rights and collective security interests. Moreover, it will set a precedent for future challenges to arm regulations, influencing the legal landscape surrounding arm control in the United States. The Supreme Court's consideration of the legality of bump stocks reflects the complexities of arm regulation in the aftermath of mass slayings. The case underscores the challenges of balancing individual rights with public safety imperatives and highlights the role of the judiciary in interpreting and applying existing laws to address evolving threats and technologies in the realm of arm policy. Bump stock legal battle. The debate surrounding bump stocks, devices that enable semi-automatic arms to fire rapidly, has stirred controversy and legal battles in the United States, particularly following their involvement in the 2017 Las Vegas mass slaying. These devices simulate mesh arm fire by harnessing recoil energy, allowing for rapid and continuous shooting with a single pull of the trigger. The Trump administration's response to the Las Vegas tragedy was to ban bump stocks in 2018, leading to a flurry of legal challenges and debates over regulatory authority and the interpretation of federal laws. The key question revolves around whether bump stocks should be classified as illegal under existing legislation, particularly the definition of a mesh arm. The ATF's previous stance on bump stocks was that they didn't meet the definition of a mesh arm, as shooters still have to manually maintain forward pressure on the barrel to continue firing. However, following President Trump's directive, the ATF reversed its position, stating that bump stocks were indeed illegal as they facilitated the firing of multiple rounds through a single function of the trigger. This change in classification prompted lawsuits from arm owners and dealers who argued that the government shouldn't be permitted to retroactively change the rules and confiscate legally purchased weapons. These legal challenges led to conflicting decisions in various appeals courts across the country, highlighting the contentious nature of the issue. In the Fifth Circuit Court in New Orleans, Michael Cargill, an arms shop owner from Austin, Texas, successfully challenged the ATF regulation, arguing that bump stocks didn't enable rifles to work automatically like mesh arms. The majority decision in the Fifth Circuit emphasized that shooters have to maintain manual forward pressure on the barrel to keep firing, distinguishing bump stocks from traditional mesh arms. However, dissenting judges criticized the majority for essentially legalizing what they deemed to be an instrument of mass slaying. The conflicting interpretations of the law underscores the complexity of the issue and the need for clarity from the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's decision to hear the case of Garland versus Cargill reflects the significance of the legal dispute over bump stocks. While the Second Amendment right to bear arms isn't directly at issue, the case raises fundamental questions about regulatory authority, the interpretation of federal laws, and the balance between armed rights and public safety. Critics of bump stocks argue that these devices increase the lethality of arms by circumventing laws intended to regulate autofire. Despite not technically meeting the definition of a mesh arm, bump stocks have been criticized for their role in enabling mass slayings and raising concerns about public safety. On the other hand, supporters of bump stocks, including their inventor Jeremiah Cottle, defend them as a means for arm enthusiasts to safely enjoy their hobby. Cottle, a veteran and entrepreneur, emphasizes the ADF's previous approval of bump stocks for 8 years and their legal sale, which helped him overcome financial hardship. The upcoming Supreme Court decision on the legality of bump stocks has significant implications for the future of arms regulation in the United States. It will not only determine the fate of these controversial devices, but also shape the broader debate over arm control and the balance between individual rights and public safety. As the court deliberates on this complex issue, it must consider the impact of its decision on society and the American tradition of innovation and entrepreneurship in the arm industry. And that's going to do it for this video. See you next time, and bye for now.